Graduation Day is always a day of rejoicing, for it marks the conclusion of an educational journey and the start of more uncertain and more difficult, yet another exciting part of man's quest for a better life in future.
To the proud parents and teachers, beloved students, viewers, friends, ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to the e-graduation, moving up, and recognition exercises with the theme Sulong Edukalidad, championing the nation's future.
Graduation Day culminates years of hard study. Together with God as our inspiration, it signifies success, not only of the students, but of the teachers, and most of all, the success of the parents. This year's event may look a little different. Families and friends will gather remotely from a safe distance, and students may toss their caps collectively over the internet while sheltering at home. But graduation would still be a time to celebrate your accomplishments and exciting things that lay ahead in your future.
here are the graduates of Palapar National High School for the school year 2019 to 2020.
Amparo Heidi Viray, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Herculo L. Amparo.
Aragon Maria Glena Bohol, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Armando N. Aragon. Aragon Marilu de Vera, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Larry C. Aragon.
Arcilia Benny Gilbert Mamaril, son of Mr. and Mrs. Venancio F. Arcilia. Balagot Tricia May Montemayor, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Belman N. Balagot.
Barbosa John Carlo Abarquez, son of Mr. and Mrs. Albino S. Barbosa.
Barbosa John Henry Domingo, son of Mr. and Mrs. Maximino S. Barbosa.
Kalimlim Mark Angelo Manangan, son of Mr. and Mrs. Mariano G. Kalimlim Jr. Cerezo Nika Jamin Macaranas, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Antonio S. Cerezo, with honors.
Quadra Robert Fronda, son of Mr. and Mrs. Alberto D. Quadra.
Di Guzman Jasmine Joy Culisaw, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Joel A. Di Guzman. De la Cruz Mark Joshua Ringor, son of Mr. and Mrs. Eduardo J. De la Cruz.
Domingo John Victor Montemayor, son of Mr. and Mrs. Victoria Domingo Jr.
Frias Vince Darrell Guerrero, son of Mr. and Mrs. Roland G. Frias.
Fronda Shaina Policarpo, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Sunny L. Fronda. Gabwat Adrian Mark Liquanan, son of Mr. and Mrs. Edwin M. Gabwat.
Grajo Jairo de la Cruz, son of Mr. and Mrs. Dominino P. Grajo Jr.
Heterosa John Dennis Ariban, son of Mr. and Mrs. Junicio D. Heterosa.
Imos Jopin Bordado, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Julito O. Imos. Junio Angela Nang, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Edgar J. Junio. Lopez Jericho Ico, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Juanito B. Lopez.
Makaraag Robelyn Makugay, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Makaraag. Makashab Crystal Joy Bautista, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ramel S. Makashab. Makashab Joanna Marie Galdones, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Albert A. Makashab, with honors. Manago Rene Jr. Mejia, son of Mr. and Mrs. Rene Manago Sr.
Manangan Diosdado Jr. for Bill, son of Mr. and Mrs. Diosdado D. Manangan Sr. Manangan John Mark, son of Mrs. Mercy I. Manangan. Martinez Jelly Gonzalez, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ludovico B. Martinez.
Mejia Christine Joy Manawis, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Y. Mejia, with honors.
Mendoza Marisa Tuazon, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Mario C. Mendoza, with honors. Minor Marilyn Sumarago, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador P. Minor, with high honors. Montemayor Shaira May Basanes, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador M. Montemayor. Muñoz Maria Ayla Tuazon, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leo M. Muñoz. Pajo Jericho Salazar, guardian, Mrs. Sandra Salazar.
Pilipel Christine Angel Jimenez, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Edwin M. Pilipel.
Quijado Emmanuel Suaybagyo, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Narciso B. Quijado Sr.
Repolona Gladys Gregorio, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Roberto Repolona, with honors. Samson Harold Bersano, son of Mr. and Mrs. Melesio Q. Samson. Season Mark David Garcia, son of Mr. and Mrs. Arnold M. Season, with honors. Solomon Ravimay Mendoza, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ronaldo A. Solomon, with high honors. Soriano Michael Joshua Pascua, son of Mr. and Mrs. Michael I. Soriano. Santa Ana Christian Yuri Imos, son of Mr. and Mrs. Gary P. Santa Ana. Verania Angela, the daughter of Mrs. Rachel M. Verania.
Viray Daniela Javien, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Danilo M. Viray, with honors. Viray Mark Elmer Vinuya, son of Mr. and Mrs. Samuel M. Viray.
Graduates, take the lead in making your future brighter ahead. Good luck and God bless you all. Congratulations, Palapar National High School graduates of Batch 2020. Congratulations, graduates, and mabuhay! Here are the completers of Palapar National High School for the school year 2019 to 2020.
Amparo Junjun Viray, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Herculio L. Amparo.
Arzadon Michael John Escaño, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Jose Arzadon. Caranto Michael John Sotelo, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Loreto Caranto.
Katunggal Junjun Agripa, the son of Mr. and Mrs. George F. Katunggal.
De Guzman Carlo Amburgo, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ruben De Guzman.
Estrada Emilio Jr. Manangan, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Emilio R. Estrada Sr. Trope Lionel Velasco, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Lumilo A. Estrope with honors. Eugenio Elmar Roy, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Alfredo R. Eugenio.
Ferrer Lebron James Tugay, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Michael Ferrer. Frias Gerald Cerezo, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ronilo Frias.
Fronda Jordan Claveria, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Danilo C. Fronda.
Imus Mark Jamuel Angi, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Samuel Imus.
Lucena Wilmar Mamari, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Mario M. Lucena.
Makasheb Russell Bautista, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ramil Makasheb.
Manangan Michael Angelo Tomas, the son of Mr. Rolando I. Manangan with honors.
Manawis Gerald Tornilo, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Radi Manawis.
Minor Carl Daniel Ermino, the son of Miss Didith P. Ermino.
Montemayor Cesar Mendoza, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Azar Montemayor.
Repolona Remnant Gregorio, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Roberto Repolona.
Rodas Mark Andrew Orenza, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Rodelio Rodas.
Roy Arunji Kati, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Aris G. Roy. Salisi John Paul Ignas, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ricardo V. Salisi.
Swanke James Brian Bongar, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Swanke. Ramos Joshua Gatinga, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Juanito Uligan.
Alapide Arabella Grace Dominguez, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Armando R. Alapide with high honors.
Aliera Beverly Jane Frias with honors, the daughter of Benicio Aliera.
Arsenas Angelica May Alapide, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Romel G. Arsenas. Buwan Iza Soriano, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ismael A. Buwan. Bulataw Micaela Cassandra Anguscia, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Avelino T. Bulataw. Culiado Jen Paula Liquiran, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Alvin Paulo Culiado.
Divera Juvelin Shin Cañaño, the daughter of Mrs. Vilma Divera. De la Cruz Piernes Greta Soriano, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. David de la Cruz. Herrero, Rica Valerie Mamaradlo, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Victor Herrero.
Estrada Leanjade de la Cruz, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ronald P. Estrada.
Fronda Danica Claveria, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Danilo Fronda. Gabuat Renzel Joyce Albaladejo, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ramil Gabuat.
Gambol Jessica Eugenio, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Severino V. Gambol. Iko Gemelos Ora, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Richard A.
Imus Harley Jade Lopez, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Herbert Imus.
Makaraeg Jasmine Erica Senesal, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Federico L. Makaraeg Jr. with honors. Macarana Sandara Casino, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvamar M. Macaranas.
Mamaril Jazel May Espiritu, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Bonifacio Mamaril. Manangan Jonna Rose Bautista, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Manangan. Manangan Lady Andy Guzman, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Frank Manangan.
Manangan Vien Zyrel Bukat, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jason S. Manangan.
Manungka Joanna K. Ribo, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Renante Manungka.
Orenza Alaisa Armas, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Melvin S. Orenza.
Pajo Abigail Zamora, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador Pajo. Pata Hazel Nang, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Domingo Pata.
Pukis Irish Nicole Kinagon, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Manny Q. Pukis. Kitaleg Sherry Ann Marie Verosil, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Anthony A. Kitaleg with honors. Ranke Rogen May Roy, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jesus M. Ranke. Santiago Janice Fronda, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ariel B. Santiago. Santiago Liza Peralta, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Alex B. Santiago.
Sibor Raquel Katungal, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Reynaldo Sibor.
Congratulations, completers, and mabuhay! Here are the Academic Excellence Awardees of Palapar National High School for the school year 2019 to 2020. To start with, let us have the Grade 7 awardees.
Estrope Liana Faye Velasco, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leonilo A. Estrope, with honors. Gabwat Sandy May Villamilla, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Alexander H. Gabwat, with honors. Imos Franz Marie Mejia, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Francis M. Imos, with honors. Manangan J. Rim Naral, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jesus D. Manangan, with honors. Ricarte Mariel Pajo, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ismael S. Ricarte, with honors. Soriano Princess Charm Rafanan, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jojit C. Soriano, with honors. Viray Mary Hitomi Plaos, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Roberto G. Viray, with honors.
Pleasant day to everyone. I have the honor to present to you the Grade 8 Academic Excellence Awardees for the school year 2019-2020. Espino Maria Rosario Nipales, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Cesar P. Espino, with honors. Manungka Charlene May Pinolyar, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador Z. Manungka, with honors. Peralta Jerisa Mejia, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador Z. Peralta, with honors. Soriano Joyce Kinagon, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Edwin C. Soriano, with honors.
It is my privilege to present to you the Grade 9 Academic Excellence Awardees. De la Cruz John Carl P., with honors. He is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Noli P. de la Cruz. Strada Liana D., with honors. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ronald P. Estrada. Rodriguez Jeremy Michael S., with honors. He is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Jose M. Rodriguez Jr. Zamora Renalyn M., with honors. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Renante D. Zamora.
I have the honor to present to you the Grade 10 Academic Excellence Awardees for the school year 2019 to 2020.
Alapide Arabella Grace Dominguez, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Armando R. Alapide, with high honors.
Aliera Beverly Jane Frias, with honors, the daughter of Benicio Aliera. De la Cruz Piernes Greta Soriano, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. David de la Cruz. Herrero Rica Valerie Mamaradlo, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Victor Herrero.
Strope Lionel Velasco, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Leonilo A. Strope, with honors.
Gabuat Renzel Joyce Albaladejo, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ramil Gabuat. Imus Harley Jade Lopez, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Herbert Imus.
Makaraeg Jasmine Erica Senesal, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Federico L. Makaraeg Jr., with honors.
Mamaril Jazel May Espiritu, with honors, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Bonifacio Mamaril.
Manangan Michael Angelo Tomas, the son of Mr. Rolando I. Manangan, with honors. Kitaleg Sherry Ann Marie Verosino, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Anthony A. Kitaleg, with honors.
Let me present to you the Grade 11 Academic Awardees.
Galang Rakima Magundakan, the daughter of Mrs. Norsalam M. Galang, with high honors. Pasqua Melody Hart Soriano, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Rolando I. Pasqua, with high honors. Bayangat Rosemary Pereras, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. George Bayangat, with honors. Kalimlim Maria Angelica Manangan, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Mariano Kalimlim Jr., with honors. Kalimlim Rolly Limon, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Roger Kalimlim, with honors. Orenza Jowen Tuliao, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Johnny S. Orenza, with honors. Tabangin Lyra Miles Collado, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Roderick I. Tabangin, with honors. Padilla Roel Barboza, the son of Mrs. Susana Padilla, with honors. Allow me to present to you the Grade 12 Academic Excellence Awardees for the school year 2019 to 2020.
Minor Marilyn Sumarago, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Salvador P. Minor, with high honors.
Solomon Ravimay Mendoza, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ronaldo A. Solomon, with high honors.
Cerezo Nika Jamin Macaranas, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Antonio S. Cerezo, with honors.
Makashab Joanna Marie Galdones, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Albert A. Makashab, with honors. Mihia Christine Joy Manawis, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Y. Mihia, with honors.
Mendoza Marisa Tuazon, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Mario C. Mendoza, with honors.
Repolona Gladys Gregorio, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Roberto Repolona, with honors. Season Mark David Garcia, son of Mr. and Mrs. Arnold M. Season, with honors.
Viray Daniela Javien, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Danilo M. Viray, with honors.
Graduates, it is our sincere hope that you will always remember and cherish your experiences from Palapar National High School. We are confident that you have the knowledge and skills to thrive in your lives. And that leaves us to our final piece of advice. Have and keep a positive attitude. We know you have the knowledge, and that will increase as you journey towards another path. You also have the skills and will continue to develop it with the disciplines that have been instilled in you by this great institution. We know you all have the heart, confidence, and courage to face life's challenges as you build your world, brighten the lives of those around you, and give back to your communities. But if you will not have a positive attitude, it will hinder your success. There is this quote that says, "A bad attitude is like a flat tire. If you don't change it, you'll never get anywhere." So if you want to go somewhere or anywhere, have a positive attitude. When you truly have a positive attitude, you capture that energy of what can be accomplished. You become a willing participant. You try things. You do things. You learn every step of the way. You become action-oriented individual. And your failures even become valuable experiences. If you have a positive attitude, kahit madapa kayo, hindi kayo susuko. Tatayo kayo agad at patuloy na lalaban. And so now, our dear graduates, we ask you to thoroughly examine your attitude, to make it positive, and to go forth and make your mark in this world. But we have one request. We are not finished with each other today. This is not goodbye. Continue to be involved in the success of this institution, your alma mater. Advise your younger friends and siblings about the importance of education and of learning. And remember that you are always part of the PNHS family. We wish each of you well on your future endeavors. We will cherish the time we have spent together and will fondly remember the old days. We will look forward to watching you excel in your future and hope that we can stay in touch. We're glad to have had the opportunity to share this momentous time with you. To you, our dear graduates, and to the proud parents, may the force be with you. Congratulations, God bless, and mabuhay kayong lahat. Mabuhay Palapar National High School!